Here's the deal nobody wants to talk about. The number one deal killer in Florida real estate right now is not the inspection, it's not the appraisal, it's not the interest rate. It's the insurance quote that lands 3 days before closing and blows up the entire transaction. And if you're a buyer, a seller, or an agent in Florida right now, and you're not bringing insurance into the conversation on day one, you are gambling with your deal. Today's guest is on the front lines of the Florida insurance crisis. Julian Manes is the Director of Business Development at the Pinto Agency, a goosehead insurance franchise in Miami. And he specializes in making sure real estate deals actually make it to the closing table. This is Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, and today we're insuring the kingdom. My guest today is someone every Florida realtor should have on speed dial. Julian Manes has spent a decade climbing through every level of the insurance industry, from customer service to sales to now running business development and partnership at the Pinto Agency, a goosehead insurance franchise in Miami. He specializes in property, casualty, and construction loan insurance, which means he's the person who makes sure your client's dream home doesn't become an insurance nightmare. He manages high-value luxury carrier portfolios, leads a sales team that works hand in hand with realtors and mortgage lenders, and he knows the Florida insurance market inside and out. Julian, welcome to the Roundtable.
Thank you so much, Lancelot. It's a pleasure to be here, pleasure to speak with you and to your viewers. I'm really excited for this conversation.
Julian, you've worked every level of the industry, customer service, sales, now agency leadership. How has the group up experience shaped the way you run things today?
Oh, man. I mean, customer service has really determined how I go about with my clients, with my referral partners, with leading a team. Going through every single level in the industry just really shows you how people kind of react to things and how people want to be spoken to, what kind of experience people look for, whether it's a client, referral partner, everybody in the transaction. So going through every single step when it comes to the insurance ladder and understanding each different type of category just helps with every single part of the transaction when it comes to communication, when it comes to quoting, when it comes to transparency, which is huge. So that's what I can say on that.
What did you learn on the phones that you still use in every conversation?
You got to sound welcoming. You got to sound welcoming to the client. You got to sound, like you're there to help them, because for a lot of these people, this is their biggest purchase of their life. And they want to make sure that they're in great hands, that they're being taken care of, that they're actually working with an insurance broker that's looking for their best interest. So always sounding welcoming, always letting them know that we are, in fact, shopping every single option for them and looking for their best interest on the property, and always smiling on the phone. That's a big sales tip I've learned in the past, is to always smile when you're on the phone, because people can read your energy, and that's huge.
That is true for podcasting too, by the way, my friend.
Yeah.
Was there a moment where you saw the business from the inside and thought, this is broken?
Definitely, 100%. On the customer service side, especially with independent agencies, it's very hard to navigate having a good sales team and a good customer service team. Customer service in insurance is not the sexiest job. It's a lot of being behind the desk, speaking to clients that might be upset, or just a lot of repetition day in, day out. I mean, it can be a boring job.
Any specific detail of that?
I mean, just
like that moment that you this is the time when I realized it.
Yeah, definitely when I was in customer service, like transitioning into sales, and just hearing from clients that, oh, I got your phone number because my realtor referred me, and my current insurance agent isn't answering the phone. I've been trying to call them, email them for weeks now, and I haven't heard anything back. And that's the easiest way to gain new clients, is just by answering the phone. And if you're responsive via email, via text, via call, granted, nobody's perfect, because in insurance, you're dealing with a high volume of clients. But as long as you get to everybody within a 24-hour period, that's the best way to set yourself apart. And that's what I've seen sets you apart from the rest of the competition in the insurance industry for sure.
For every realtor and buyer listening, what are the most critical updates in the 2026 Florida insurance market right now?
Man, Florida right now is a soft market. Over the last couple of years, insurance companies have been slowly, very slowly, coming back into Florida because of the amount of fraud that happens here every year. We have hurricane season. As we're recording this podcast, we're heading into hurricane season as we speak. And a couple of years ago, options were extremely limited. It was only pretty much Citizens, which is a state government insurance company, and a couple of other private companies that have been open. But now insurance companies from different states are moving into Florida. They're wanting to gain more ground when it comes to gaining more clients, and their premiums are coming back very competitive. So right now is a great time to shop your policy if you're a homeowner. And if you're a realtor, it's the best time to work with a broker like myself because we're able to really tailor the coverages down to help the client either qualify for financing or give them the best experience when it comes to service and transparency.
Can you be specific about which carriers have left, which are still writing here?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Carriers that have left, I mean, there was a big one called Southern Fidelity that they closed down. There was a period of 3 months where we got notified that from Southern Fidelity that they're on this date canceling every single policy that they had with Southern Fidelity. And there was more than 5,000 clients with them. And so within those 3 months, we had to find our clients that we had, which we had over 1,000 of them with Southern Fidelity. We had to find them another option. Another insurance company that actually was closed for a while since 2017, but now reopened is People's Trust. They still are a great company, but back then in 2015 to 2018, they were one of the top companies. And now they're slowly gaining more access to zip codes, opening up more, trying to gain more clients. Another huge one, it was like shooting fish in a barrel, was St. John's Insurance Company. With them, almost every property qualified. People weren't paying more than $3,000 a year for home insurance. But when hurricanes come, the insurance companies have to obviously pay out the claims. But if they're insuring a $600,000 property for $3,000, they end up losing money on the claim. So they actually got bought out by an insurance company called Slide. And now Slide is reopening their products to be able to gain new clients as well.
Cool. Are premiums going up, stabilizing, or it's market by market?
I would say in general, it's stabilizing. We aren't seeing huge premium increases at all. Actually, we're actually getting more emails from insurance companies and carrier reps saying that they're lowering their premiums and that they're actually asking for us to give them more feedback now more than ever, telling them how they can become better, what are their competitors offering, so that way they can be more of a competitor in the market. So a lot of insurance companies are actually pushing to be, some of the biggest companies in Florida, which you asked me that question 5 years ago, I would tell you that no insurance company wants to do any business here. But now it's the total opposite. So I would say stabilizing, and I have been seeing some of my clients' renewals actually even going down, which is
like
very, very good. On average, I'm seeing at least about 5% decreases on some policies. So it's nothing like, it's good. It's nothing out of this world. It's like, oh my God, my premium's going down 25, 30%, which everybody wants. I mean, I'm a homeowner too, and I would love that. But on average, that's what we're seeing. But with how the market is, we've been able to save people 50% by switching their insurance company, because insurance companies now, they have different niches, are specializing in different pockets of Florida. And so somebody could have had a policy for 5 years. A new company came out that they specialize in their area, and now we're slashing their insurance by half just because of that new company coming in. So for a lot of people, it's been absolutely great.
I love that 50%. I mean, I remember one of my first podcasts I recorded a couple of years back was about insurance.
Yeah.
I had my fourplex I told you about earlier before we started the show. And my insurance when I got that place was probably around $2,000, including my flood insurance.
Wow.
Yeah. And since then, it became 4 grand for your general insurance, and then plus another 1,800 bucks on flood insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it happened almost over a year
Over.
span. And I was like, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
going from 2 grand to $7,000. That's a big jump, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we managed to 4 now, but I'm sure that if I keep shopping around, we could get it even further down. I mean, look, it's a block building, about maybe about 1,800 square foot. You
Yeah.
know, there's not even drywall in the building. I'm telling you,
I
it's
hear you.
actually block walls. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
most definitely. Most
what's
definitely.
the rehab cost on that? A couple kitchens that are like 2 cabinets, 3 cabinets each. You know, like,
Yeah.
something
Yeah. Yeah.
happened.
I know that's something we're going to discuss too on flood insurance and today, but flood
Yeah,
insurance is a completely different animal.
yeah.
That one, unfortunately, I can't say has been great as far as rates because flood insurance is all ran through FEMA. And so a couple years ago, maybe call it 5 years ago, flood insurance in Florida and in every state of the US was all ran through FEMA. And it is still all ran through FEMA, but the rates were the same. But in Florida, we get way more claims for flood insurance compared to other states. So FEMA, they had a big meeting and they said we have to change the rates for Florida. And overnight, I mean, for new clients, rates were going from average $600 to $800 to a lot of areas now where there's nothing less than 1,000 for flood insurance. So
Oh, yeah.
that is a different topic. I know we'll dive more into for sure.
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to touch on that one too.
Yeah.
You work through Goosehead, which is independent. For someone who doesn't know the difference, why is that better than a captive carrier right now?
Oh, I mean, being a broker right now is really, I mean, being a captive agent, you only work with one company, one product. You can only offer one thing. Whereas a broker, you can offer multiple products. We have access to companies that even that captive agent is selling. And we have options for homeowners, flood insurance, car insurance, investment properties, umbrella, any type of insurance that you're looking for. We have options to every single company that's offering those type of products. So it's best to work with us because we have way more knowledge when it comes to where to place you. Because a lot of people, sometimes this actually happens quite often with agents that don't know where to place things. They get a new policy and then 3 months and later they get a cancellation in the mail saying that, oh, this property or this product doesn't qualify for what you're trying to get. And that's one thing that we avoid a lot because we know where to place the business.
So let's put this in a broad perspective. How many carriers can you shop versus a captive agent? I know captive agent, one.
One, yeah.
How about
With us,
yourself?
it's
Broker?
over 30. It's over
30, like
30.
40, 30, 40.
Yeah, around
Imagine this guy.
around 40 to 50. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, look, 30 to 40 carriers, that's insane. Like,
yeah,
you can definitely find a better deal than a captive agent. You could go into your State Farm. State Farm can only do State Farm. Progressive
definitely,
will only do Progressive. Geico will only do Geico. Oh, bundle
definitely.
your home and get a discount. That is not true in every case. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe in some cases it will be, and cookie cutter, whatever, back neighborhoods. But if you have a specific location, and Florida's pretty specific in a lot of ways because we have coastal areas,
yeah.
we have inland.
Inland,
So having a broker in your corner as a person that can help you, okay, let's put these details in here. What does the 4 points say? Or what does the windmit say? And let's see which carrier will give me the best deal for it. It's
100%.
vital for you to be able to get an awesome rate. And then your mortgage rate comes down too,
Yeah,
because it's built into your mortgage,
yeah,
most, yeah.
yeah, 100%. And to jump on that too, there's a lot of situations now, especially with new purchases, because with the current market being a buyer's market, there's a lot of sellers that, let's say they're selling their house and their house isn't in the best condition when it comes to the roof, especially. The roof
Yeah.
is one of the biggest things the insurance companies look at, especially going into hurricane season. A lot of sellers, they're selling their house because they probably need the money and they probably haven't touched their roof in years. And I literally have a deal right now where the roof is original. It's a tile roof from 1993. Hasn't been touched in what, 29 years, 30 years?
Yeah.
And there's some cracks on the roof. And because we're a broker, we're able to find an option that they can use for closing. And the insurance company is going to be like, okay, we're going to give the client some time to fix the roof. Because overall, it's in a good condition. But if there's little deficiencies notated on the 4-point, there's some carriers that won't take it at all. So that's
Oh, yeah.
another benefit of working with a broker because we have direct access to underwriters. We can really explain the case, really fight for the client, and help people get through closing, compared to having to negotiate with the seller to fix the roof prior to closing, which the seller may not have the money to do or the time. So things like this is where working with a broker is really crucial.
And I've noticed you guys down in Miami, I don't know how you do it, but you guys pull miracles out every
Yeah.
single time I call someone from Miami.
Yeah.
Even for our deals up here in Volusia, like I call my Volusia guys, of course, first because they're local and everything. And
Yeah.
they can't make it happen. I call Miami person, like, here you go. I'm like,
Exactly.
how did you manage to do that?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's the Miami hustle, definitely,
Yeah,
100%.
I think so. More competition, gives you
Yeah.
more hustle, I guess.
Yeah.
So you see the full picture because you're shopping the whole market. Now, let me ask you about the biggest myth I hear from buyers. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the myth I want you to destroy. Okay. Most people think the price of their home determines their insurance cost. Why is that completely wrong?
It's completely wrong. I literally just had a client buying a $5 million house. His insurance is $7,000. It's
That's pretty good.
for a $5 million house. Just think about that. What really goes into effect, what insurance companies really look at is the year built of the house. The newer the house, the better rate you're going to have. Because since it's brand new, or if it's within 10 years, insurance companies still see that as fairly pretty new. If it's within that range, the likelihood of something happening is very slim, whether it be a water pipe burst, something with the roof, because since the roof is new, it's built on very sturdy. There should be nothing loose or cracked or anything like that. And as far as hurricane protection, nowadays properties in Florida in general are built with hurricane protection on the windows. So that's a huge factor. And so that's a huge myth. That's a huge myth. The purchase price is not a factor when it comes to that. What's a factor is the size, the year built. If it's older, if the roof was replaced recently, that's a huge factor. And if there's hurricane protection, if it's impact windows or shutters, those are the biggest impacts.
So, what's the look on a buyer's face when you explain this the first time?
Oh man, I mean, they just sound totally surprised. A lot of them, it's either great news or bad news because let's say it's a house that they love, but then it's not qualifying for credits. Now and the insurance premium is coming back super high. It causes them to kind of double think. But at the same token, we tell them, hey, look, if you get this done after closing, your policy will decrease this much. And then there's people like my client right now buying a $5,000 square foot home, $5 million here in the heart of Pinecrest, and he's paying $7,000. He's paying cheaper insurance for people closer to the water, people with older homes, and with great coverage.
That one too, like
yeah,
the bad part.
Oh yeah, if you're closer to the water, it is insurance companies, they really want to see that the property is in good condition. Because obviously, if you're closer to the water with heavy wind, with a hurricane coming, it's more likelihood for a claim to be filed. But at the end of the day, we never say anything is impossible to insure. We can insure anything. We just have to be able to plead a good case to the insurance company. And obviously, the property has to qualify for the product, which we know how to navigate that. But yeah, if it's closer to the water, you are going to see higher premiums because there is more risk. But if it's a brand new build, I mean, that helps you a ton. Like a ton.
I mean, let me give you an example. My house, okay, built in 2022. I have insurance on it for $900. It's 2,300 square foot,
Yeah.
a little bit further inland compared to my fourplex that was built in 1954, if I'm not mistaken. Older home, flat roof, closer to the water. And as I mentioned earlier, to combine insurance with flood and your casualty is around $6,000-7,000 right now. So one V as the other, really good reason. When I always talk to my clients or buyers back when we were selling a lot of homes in 2022, is like, guys, why are we looking at all these old homes? Why? Let's go into a new subdivision. I know you might not be the fans of a cookie cutter, but you're always looking at your top dollar, how much money, how much house can I get for my money?
Yeah.
And then calculate in that this old house that is maybe 500-600 square foot less than your new home over there, and you're paying $3,000 in insurance here, and you're paying $900 over there for a brand new home, you're saving $2,100 a year on insurance cost.
Yep,
And that
100%.
house will not flood because when it was built higher up, so it's not in a flood zone. So
Yep,
now you don't have to have flood insurance. While this house, let's check the FEMA map. Oh, it's in a flood zone. So now you're going to have a mandatory flood insurance on it for at least $1,000, but it could be higher as well. So
exactly.
that cost builds into your monthly payments, $100 to $200 a month. You're going to be paying for that insurance cost.
Yeah,
Big difference. Big
yeah,
difference. So it's not, steering in any kind of shape or form, but it's kind of trying to give good advice on, hey, I know you guys are starting out. You want something affordable. Yes, that house might be $50,000 or $100,000 more in purchasing value, but at the end of the day, you'll save that in your mortgage payments in the long run if you
yep,
get that house, because your insurance, all the other things are going to come down.
100%. And it's less of a likelihood for something to go wrong with the property.
Yes.
That's one of the horror stories when people purchase a little bit older homes, is saying, "Oh, I had to redo my kitchen, I had to redo my flooring because this happened, I had to redo my roof because this happened." That's all money. And roofs right now, the cost of construction is at an all-time high. So that's another factor. That's another factor. It's like, yeah, you get a newer home. Maybe it's not something that you originally were thinking of, but nothing's going to be happening to that home in the next 10 to 15 years. You can live in it and be fine. Sell it after 5, 7 years, the average amount of time people usually stay in a home. And the buyer isn't gonna have to worry about anything either because it's still fairly new. That's something huge too, where sellers right now are giving seller credits to fix things in the home, whereas if it was a newer home or if the seller already fixed it, they'll be getting more money from the sale. So
True.
that's just another angle to look at it as well.
Hey, Julie, can you rank the factors from most to least impact on a policy?
On a policy, yeah,
Yeah.
the biggest impact is hurricane protection. If the windows are impact rated or have shutters. Now, one fun thing that people don't know is that you get the same credit amount if you have impact windows that are expensive, if you have accordion shutters that are less expensive, and if you have shutters that you just mount on the wall and you have just trail like the little racks to put the shutters on, you get the same credit amount from the insurance company. As long as it's protected, you get the credit. And that credit can save people 30, 40, 50% on home insurance. So that's something for people to know because, yeah, impact windows are more appealing to the eye. But if you're just specifically worried about trying to lower your insurance costs, just getting shutters that are approved from Home Depot or something, and then drilling the holes to mount them, you're going to get the full credit and it's going to save you a ton of money on the insurance. The sec, yeah, and the second is actually the attic access credits. So seeing how the roof is attached to the actual structure. This is something a lot of people don't talk about, but it makes a huge difference. I'm not even lying when I say this. Yesterday, I had a client. She's a very high value client. She's paying $20,000 right now for her insurance for a property in Key Biscayne right on the water. She has insulation in her roof. So when it's insulated, it's harder to see how the roof is attached to the actual structure. But I showed her live right now. If we're able to get the photos of how the roof is attached, that alone will save her $5,000 a year on her insurance policy.
Oh, wow.
So seeing how the roof is attached, whether it's attached via wraps, double wraps, toenails, you don't get any credits, but if it's wrapped, then you get a big credit. So that's the second biggest way how to lower your premium if for some reason there wasn't any attic access. Unfortunately, like for example, your quadplex is a flat roof. There's no attic access to that. So that's a credit that you're unfortunately missing out. And then the third obviously is the roof. The newer the roof, and if the roof was done with a permit, if it wasn't done with a permit, you get no credit. And that's very common here in Miami, where people redo the roof, but they don't do it with a permit. And that hurts them because it's not going to qualify you for the credit on your insurance. And it's going to limit your options because insurance companies don't like unpermitted roofs. You could have had your uncle do the roof, and then something wrong happened. They end up trying to file a claim, and then it's a battle with the insurance company. They're going to say, oh, the roof wasn't done correctly because it wasn't done with a roof permit. And then you have to go back and forth and probably get other people involved into it. So doing your roof with a permit is extremely important. It's going to open up the insurance companies for you. It's going to get you that credit on the wind mitigation, and it's going to put you in the best position possible. After that is definitely a burglar and fire alarm system. If you have a burglar and fire alarm system, some companies give big credits for that. For some companies that can lower your premium about $1,000 a year. But those are definitely the top four from greatest to least on how much that can impact your insurance.
I like that list.
Yeah.
Like that list. So, first one, windproofing. Second one, attic access.
Yeah.
Third one, fire, smoke.
Third one is roof, having a permitted roof. Yeah.
Okay, permitted roof. And
Yeah.
then you got your burglar and fire smoke alarms.
Exactly.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, man. You manage luxury portfolios in Miami. How should realtors prepare high-value buyers for that first insurance code? What's the sticker shock range for a luxury property right now? And should the agent be having this conversation before showings?
Most definitely. Most definitely. I work with a lot of high-value realtors. What I do is I ask them, what properties are you looking at? And I can give you a pretty accurate range as to what the insurance would be for home and flood insurance. And it's super important because, granted, a lot of the high value people, they have a lot of money, but when it comes to insurance in Florida, it's definitely, I always tell people, you're gonna wish you had it when the time is now, and then you're gonna regret not having it when something happens, because it's not a question of if something happens, it's just a question of when something happens. Because here it gets very hot. The heat here causes water pipes to burst. That's actually the most commonly filed claim. So imagine walking into your house one day, your water pipe bursts, and now your floors are flooded. You have to redo your floors, redo your baseboards, maybe even redo your walls if the water gets high enough. And a lot of that, and let's say you're paying for a high value property $7,000 to $10,000, and your deductible for water is $5,000. You pay $5,000, and then you get the money you need back to fix all the repairs that can be way over $30,000 to $50,000. So it's definitely a return on investment once you have to use the policy. And a lot of the higher value clients, they really want good coverage. And when it's good coverage, is with a good insurance company that actually pays out claims, that doesn't give back and forth when it comes to filing a claim, because unfortunately, a lot of insurance companies in Florida give back and forth on paying out claims. So that's a huge importance when it comes to high value clients. A lot of them, when it's a bigger home, a lot of them are less concerned about hurricane. And I agree with that, because it has to be a huge hurricane to come through to really damage a bigger home when it's like 5,000, 6,000 square feet. But where I really have a good conversation with them is fire and liability, especially liability, because let's say high value people have high value friends, and let's say they're having a party, there's drinks involved, alcohol involved, something happens on the premises. A lot of those people are going to end up suing. Doesn't even matter if they're friends. And then the liability covers any type of sue that happens on the premises. So that's a huge benefit to insurance and for high value clients.
All right, so the premiums are real, and they're driven by factors most people don't think about. But there's good news. Let's talk about what people can actually do about it. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's get tactical. What specific credit can Florida homeowners qualify for right now to directly lower their premiums? Walk us through wind mitigation. What does the inspector look for?
Yeah.
How much can these credits save? Give us dollar ranges, like this to this. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. So what people can qualify for right now is because I have a lot of clients that they bought the house, no hurricane protection. A year later, they put on shutters, they put on impact windows. So that's the credit that they can get right now. That's all through a wind mitigation inspection done by a home inspector. Okay. The hurricane protection credit, the inspector goes through every single window, every single exterior door, make sure that it's hurricane protected, verified. That's either by a specific label that's on the windows, it's on the side of the doors when you open them. That alone can save people 25 to 30% on their insurance. It's on the wind mitigation, it's the biggest difference, 100%.
That reminds me of one thing that I want to plug in here. Do not remove the stickers from your doors, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do not do that. I know it might be an eyesore for you, but do not remove those stickers. Keep
Yep. 100%. Yeah. That's, thank you for adding that, because that is super important. Super important. That's how the inspector verifies if it's protected. And then the second is if, let's say, you have a burglar and fire alarm, let's say through ADT, Vivint, what's the other one?
Ring.
There's a whole bunch of different security companies. But if you have what's called an alarm certificate, we submit that to the insurance company, and that can save around 8 to 10% a year on the home insurance. So that can make a big difference as well. Those are the credits that you can get right now. If you've never done a wind mitigation for your property, I recommend doing one, because if you've never done one, you probably don't have the credits on your insurance policy. And if you do one, it usually ranges between $150 to $200 to get one. And then that can save you thousands of dollars on your insurance policy. And the insurance company sends you the money directly back. So at that point, it's your, whatever you want to do with that money. You can buy it, go on a vacation, you can apply it back to your escrow account to help your monthly mortgage payment, which is very smart. So those are the things that you can do right now.
Can you give me like a before and after, like you were starting to say, like a client had none of those and then came back? What was before and after the prices?
Yeah, I've had clients where they're paying $6,000. They get hurricane protection. Now they're paying between $3,500 to $4,000 a year.
That's a big savings. $2,000.
Yeah,
That's huge
100%.
savings, guys.
Imagine getting a check in the mail for $2,000.
Yeah.
How happy you're gonna be.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
it. End of the year usually.
Exactly.
How do wind mitigation credits impact the cost during a transaction? Should the buyer be requesting this before closing?
Yes, 100%. That's how we're able to get the best insurance premiums for your closing, which is going to help your debt to income ratio, which is going to help you get to closing faster. Also, the tip, if you're buying a condo and it's older property, the building is older, get a wind mitigation done, because right now the insurance companies, they are requesting, in order to have the credits applied and have them stick, a wind mitigation inspection. If you ask realtors right now, that's not common for condos, but with changes happening in the market, it's going to start being common. So even on condos to get a wind mitigation.
Okay. And who pays for the wind mitigation inspection? Buyers or sellers?
The buyer.
And can you negotiate it into the contract?
Not really.
Okay. Thanks for that. I do that. I just want to make sure that you say it out as well, so people learn about that.
Yeah.
Like, why do I have to pay for that? It's like, dude, it's your inspection.
Exactly.
The state of your home. Again, trying to purchase. They live in it. They already have insurance. You've said right now is the best time for current homeowners to shop their policies. Why and what should they look for? How many homeowners are overpaying because they auto renew? And what's the step-by-step call a broker, get a wind mit, then what?
Yeah. So right now it is the best time to shop your insurance. If you auto renewing for a couple of years, for 2-3 years, it's best to just shop around and take a look. It's free to get quotes. You don't have to pay for quotes. And what we're able to do is we're able to see through county websites what credits more or less the property can qualify for, and give you a pretty accurate estimate as to what another insurance company can offer. And then depending on the year bill, we're going to need new inspections. But at that point, if we're finding savings, then it's going to be worth getting the inspections. And how a call goes is basically they reach out saying that they want a quote on their home insurance.
Can you do this step by step? So for the audience, they can pause and go back and make the steps as they go.
Yeah, 100%. Step one is to call me, the broker. Call me or email me. And in that call, I'm going to be asking for a copy of your policy, because I have to see what coverages you currently have. I have to see how your insurance policy is currently laid out, seeing if it's an investment property, a primary residence, and what your deductibles are. And then step two is allow me to quote. We always have quotes back ready the same day. If you contact us after 5 p.m., we're going to have it the next day, obviously. And so we shop the market, and then step three is that we present the options to you. We always present more than three options, so around four options. We're differentiating in coverages, differentiating in deductibles, so that way you can see and compare options. And then step number five is deciding whether you want to switch your policy. Once you decided to switch your policy, we're able to then step six, if needed, is get new inspections. That's where if you already have inspections, you can just call your inspector you did it with and tell them you need new ones, or we can refer an inspector that can get it done as well. And then step seven is finalizing, or step six. Step six is finalizing the insurance policy and then having the client sign the applications. And then step seven is reaching out to the mortgage company to make sure that they pay the policy. And then the last step, step eight, once everything is finalized and done, is canceling your prior policy. Because if we're writing you a new policy and your policy is still active, then you're able to get a refund for any unused premium that is still left from your insurance policy. So those are the 8 steps. And then once you get your refund, new policy's paid, then you're set for the next year.
Awesome. Thanks for that. So there's real money to be saved, but I also want to make sure people don't make the wrong trade-off. Let's talk about deductibles. Okay. We just partially stepped on that for a second there, but are trying to balance a manageable premium against a deductible they can actually afford. How should they think about that math? What a hurricane deductible versus a standard deductible? At what point does lowering the premium create dangerous exposure?
Yeah, for sure. So there's many instances where we offer 4 options. The first 2 are with the lower hurricane deductible. The hurricane deductible is argumented is the most important deductible because that is going to be the most out of pocket deductible. And some insurance companies are different. Either you pay the deductible out of pocket and then you get the payout, or they take out the deductible from the payout. And your deductible is not based off whatever damages is going on. Let's say you have 50,000 in damages. It's not 2% or 5% of the 50,000 damages. It's a percentage of your dwelling coverage, which a lot of people need to understand. Your dwelling coverage is how much the insurance company would pay if there's a total loss. So on a $500,000 house, the average dwelling coverage is about $300,000. And then your hurricane deductible is either going to be 2% or 5% of the $300,000. And so when we offer different options, when we increase the deductible to 5%, it maybe makes about a $500 to $800 a year difference when it comes to premium. So in your eyes, it's like, oh, I'm saving $800,000. But then when you go to file a hurricane claim, you're going to be paying thousands of more dollars or losing thousands of more dollars when it comes to a claim payout. Offer just saving $500 to $800 a year. So we explain that to the clients because the hurricane deductible, every year we're in hurricane season. And granted, Florida hasn't had a huge hurricane in the last couple of years, but every year we have hurricane season and heavy storms and heavy winds. And that also falls under the windstorm/hurricane deductible. So when we explain the differences in premiums, it's really eye-opening for the clients, and it's kind of a no-brainer because they're like, oh, I'm only saving $300, $500 a year, but I'm going to be paying $8,000 more when it comes to a claim for a hurricane. So explaining that is really an eye-opener and how we really provide value to clients, because a lot of people, especially when they're buying homes, they just look for the cheapest price, especially in Florida, especially in Miami, because of how expensive everything is right now, and to meet their debt to income ratios. But we really explain the value of having the lowered hurricane deductible, because when something happens, they're going to want to, the whole point of insurance is to get the most money back you can from the insurance company. So if you have higher deductibles, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Granted, sometimes there are those situations where people just need the higher deductibles to qualify for financing, which we understand, which is why we offer that. But we always explain the difference between the price and what your deductible is, because a lot of the times, 9 out of 10 times, it's worth having the lower deductible option compared to increasing the hurricane deductible.
So let me go over that one more time for our audience here. A 2% deductible on a $500,000 home is around $10,000. Okay. That means that's your out of pocket expense when the incident actually happens. It's not money that you have to cough up front or anything like that. But it's good to have that as low as possible. So when the incident does happen, you don't come out of pocket that much. It will raise your insurance cost if the deductible is lower, but you're basically paying it in the long run instead of just paying it out of pocket when the incident does happen. That is vital and really important in the insurance field. Thanks, Julie, for going through that with us. Here's one I hear all the time. I have homeowners insurance, so I'm covered for flooding. Why is that dead wrong?
Yeah, no, that's completely wrong. Flood insurance is separate from home insurance. There, it's always going to be separate, especially when you're doing financing, because the mortgage companies, they require in Florida a FEMA flood policy, which is always going to be separate. That the best example is, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago in Cape Coral. There was a huge storm that went through Cape Coral, like massive, and it caused a ton of damage. And a lot of those damage was due to flooding. And those people, a lot of those properties were not in flood zones, or those homeowners owned their properties outright, and they didn't. At that point, when you own a property outright, it's insurance is optional. But we always recommend having at least flood insurance. And those people, if they didn't have flood insurance and their house got flooded away, they got to buy a new house. They're not going to get money from anywhere. And so it's huge. It is huge. And flood insurance, when you're not in a flood zone, it's only like $500 to $800 a year. It's not expensive at all. And if you're in a flood zone, it's one, if you're getting financing, you need to have flood insurance. They're going to require you to have it. But if you own it outright, it's worth having it. Even if it's a couple $1,000s, it's worth having it, because your deductible on flood, the highest deductible they offer is $5,000. So you pay $5,000, but you're getting paid $250,000 back from the insurance company to rebuild your house if something happens due to a flood. And that's always going to be separate. You're never going to have your flood included in your home ever. So that's something that people need to understand. Home insurance will cover water pipes that burst, but it won't cover water getting from the outside getting to the inside of the property.
So if someone is listening right now and they don't have separate flood insurance, what's the worst case scenario?
The worst case scenario is a flooding happens and then they have flood damage, but then they can't file a claim. So then they have to fix everything out of pocket.
And
And
then
that,
and just out of pocket everything,
out of
rebuild
pocket
a house,
everything. Yeah.
or replacing drywall,
Yeah.
trying out home flooring, kitchen, bathroom,
Everything.
everything.
Everything. Unless mom and dad come in and give you some money, everything is out of your pocket.
Or you're the mom and dad, and you're like, God, now we didn't count for this. There goes our retirement
And then
funds.
imagine, and then you don't have somewhere to live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would flood insurance also cover partial hotel stay or something like that? Or, or,
I'm sorry, can
or
you repeat that one?
could like flood insurance also cover partial stay in a hotel while your house is being built? Or
Oh, so that's under loss of use coverage. That's more with the homeowners insurance company. The flood insurance just covers the dwelling and your personal property.
got you.
So the flood insurance policy won't cover like having to live in a different like hotel, like you said, Airbnb or something like that. That's something that you can speak with your home insurance company on, but to cover that part. But as far as the damages from the flooding, the home insurance is not going to touch that.
So if you don't have a second home, that might be a smart coverage to get in an area where these things happen.
100%. And most insurance companies, they already have that coverage included. It's usually between 5% or 10% of the dwelling, which helps. But there are some companies that allow you to remove that to bring down the price. But I always tell my clients that this is worth it, because if you have to live somewhere else and you don't have a second home, or you don't have somewhere where you can crash, and you have a big family, you're going to be in a really stressful situation.
Yeah. You specialize in construction loan insurance. How does your team stay ahead of those complex rules when working with mortgage lenders?
Yeah, it's really through experience. When you've been doing it for this long, you already know how the mortgage lenders, what they want to see, their lingo, how they speak. And so through going through so many transactions, we're just able to already know what the mortgage company wants to see as far as coverages, as far as timeline and response time, because that's very important. But more so with coverages and deductibles, we already understand what they're looking for. So that way we avoid a bunch of back and forth.
This hits home for me a little bit because I'm in construction. I'm a contractor,
Yeah.
a general contractor. So I'm planning on building my homes.
Yeah.
And of course, when you're planning on building your home, you should get construction loan insurance and construction insurance, multiple avenues because your material cost, etc., that you have on site, and they like to disappear when you're building a home. And it's not even your guys. It's a lot of times it's just outside people driving by. Oh, look at those stack of 2x4s. Let's just pack them on the trunk and let's drive off, you know? And, you know, you can't have security 24/7, or you can, but it's really expensive. So you take the loss on either side. It's like, hey, I'll either hire, 24-hour security or have cameras up, or I lose some product during construction. So do you do those insurances as well? How does that work?
Yeah, it ties in with the liability insurance, making sure that we have the right coverages for those type of situations, and that's also a lot of the time what the mortgage lender is looking for. So we always know that, especially because when it's a construction loan, they're purchasing under a business, and liability is usually separate for that, which we understand every mortgage company is going to have a liability coverage requirement. And so we automatically know where to go, what coverages to have included, because they look for specific endorsements on the policies. And so we're able to really, get that done fast because we already know through experience what these mortgage companies are going to ask for right off the bat.
Everything we've talked about comes down to one thing: timing. And that's what I want to close with. How do early insurance consultations, bringing insurance into the deal on day one, prevent transactions from falling through at closing? At what point should the agent loop in an insurance partner and give us a horror story of what happens when they don't?
Yeah, so that's great. This is one of my favorite topics to speak on. So the best time is day one. As soon as you go under contract, you got to get your insurance person in the loop. Reason being is because a lot of the times once you go under contract, the realtor already knows what's going on with the property, whether it needs a new roof, whether the electro panel is old, whether they need a new water heater, whether something's going on with the windows. Anything like that is super crucial for insurance because that's gonna determine if you qualify for insurance and what options we can use for you. And I've had horror stories where even to this day, I get realtors that are brand new, I've never worked with, say, "Hey, Julian, I got referred to you by my lender, by my friend that's a realtor, and we're closing in 3 days. And the roof is shot. We're doing the roof after closing, but we need insurance to close. What can we do?" Whereas if that person contacted me when they first went under contract, we could have avoided having to be in a rush. And that just doesn't look good on any part of the transaction. Doesn't feel good for the realtor to be under that pressure. It's definitely not good for the lender because there's a specific financing period where if they don't get the insurance and close within a certain time, they lose the financing and then the client can lose their down payment. And then it obviously is not good for the client because they feel pressure. This is the biggest purchase of their life, and they're feeling this pressure of, oh, I can potentially this and I'll potentially go south. So getting the insurance in the process in the very beginning, and especially when as soon as the inspections are completed, sending them to the insurance because that's really what we need to see how we can maneuver getting insurance ready for the client. And the quicker the insurance is handled, the more seamless and better the whole transaction is going to be because you don't want insurance to be a deal breaker. I've had it to where on the day of closing, they have to reach out to me because something's either wrong in the policy or or the agent's not answering or they just haven't found a policy that works. So making sure you work with a broker that has all the options, that has the experience on how to maneuver with these insurance companies and that respond to you immediately or within a 24-hour period. That has good communication because all that is really
the ingredients to having seamless transactions happening. And when you have that person on your team, it's just rinse and repeat. And that gives your client a more of a referable experience. That's gonna allow more referrals for everybody in the party, especially the realtor, because they're gonna say, "Oh, you put me in touch with these great people. You're amazing. I have this friend that's also looking at properties. You should help them out and put them in contact with the same people," and vice versa. So it's not only important during the transaction, but also important on how to generate business as well.
Julian, I had the same experiences happen to me multiple times, with over like 170, 180 deals under my belt now. It happens all the time. I just had one recently where the agent on the other side, I was on the listing side, I was on the seller side, and the agent was like, "He can't find insurance. We can't find insurance." It's like, here, these are 5 of my best brokers. Call them, each and every one of them. You're going to get an insurance on this house. I promise you, guarantee you will find insurance. And the buyer, was sharing his full inspection report. I was like, you don't do that. Come on.
Yeah,
You can
exactly.
because the broker will say, I don't need that. I just need the 4 point in the wind mitt.
Exactly.
That's all I'm going to use. Thank you for sharing that. I don't really need it.
Exactly.
So a broker knows that. If you're sending that to your State Farm or you're sending that to your
They're
guy,
gonna say, "Oh no, we can't get you insured."
exactly, they're going to tell you can't get you insured. Exactly. So a good agent, like good realtor, is also really vital in a transaction to make sure you guide your client in the right way. It's like, here are my contacts, call them. It doesn't matter if your buyer goofs off and sends them the full inspection report, because he'll know, my brokers know that's something we don't submit to the insurance companies. And the other thing is, I always recommend this, a guideline for my buyers. If I have a buyer that's brand new, first time home buyer, et cetera, we have a lot of those coming into the state. Make sure you have a list for them of what to do and how to do and what not to do, and hand it out to them. That includes, as soon as we have that 4 point and windmill in the hand, let's shop for insurances. In my world, that's how it goes. You find your agent, you find your house, you go under contract, you get your inspection. Like, you want your inspection done within 2 to 3 days after you go under contract. Your escrow's in about the same time when you get your inspection report in your hand. So you can go through that inspection report, negotiate that. But while you're doing that, your 4 point and windmill, if there's nothing to fix on it, send it already off to your insurance companies. And here's the list of my preferred vendors. Send it to them. They'll shop for you, and so on and so forth. It keeps going. But that's for the insurance part. And
Yeah.
it's really important. It's really important,
Yeah.
to make sure you do that right.
100%. And to just to piggyback off that really quick, even if there's something going on with the inspections, that it's so good to send it to a broker that has experience just in the real estate field in general. That they know how realtors work, they know how lenders work. Because let's say the roof needs updating, or let's say the water heater's old, you can tell the agent, granted they're usually going to be the buyer's agent, say, "Hey, look, this is what we're seeing on the inspection. Have you asked for a credit from the seller to get this done?" And that is going to make the realtor look even more like a rock star, because now they're putting their client in a better position to get funding to fix whatever they got to fix, instead of the client closing and then they have to make a bunch of repairs to the property. Nobody wants to go through that, especially a first-time home buyer. They just want to move in and be like, "Oh my God, I have my own home. This is great. I love it," and enjoy it. They don't want to immediately put in a ton of money that they already spent on trying to save for a down payment that they've saved for God knows how long they've been saving for. So that's something huge, just to piggyback off what we're talking about, because if you work with a broker that knows that angle as well, it just adds more firepower to the buyer's agent.
Yeah. So, what's your vision for the Pinto Agency's partnerships with real estate professionals, especially here in Central East Florida?
Yeah, I mean, what we pride ourselves on, our client is our referral partner. We always take great care of the home buyer, but our client is the realtor or the lender, whoever sends us the referral, because they're putting their trust into us and we are a reflection of them. And how we gain our business is through natural referrals. We don't pay for any referrals. We don't pay for online leads. We don't pay for any of that. And so how we get our referrals is by consistently giving a referable experience. And that is so important, especially in Florida, because I mean, just like how there are a million realtors, but then there's always that small percentage that are actually good at what they do. It's the same with insurance brokers. And so you want to work with somebody that's going to make you look good, that's going to get you more referrals just by the experience that they give their client. And so our agency, that is our main focus. We understand that we can't do what we do without you guys. And you guys are the biggest piece in the puzzle for a transaction. So we make that very clear. We give that white glove service every time to any type of buyer, whether they're buying $100,000 or $1 million property. We give them the same quality of service. And that is how we've been so successful. You mentioned earlier that we're a Goosehead franchise. We are actually the biggest Goosehead franchise in the whole country. We have the biggest book of business, we have the most amount of clients, and we have the highest retention rate in the country because of how good we are when it comes to the experience consistently. So that is what I see as far as the future, just continuing the growth, continuing to partner with more realtors, more lenders, and just continue doing what we're doing. You know, we already have the wheel built and we're not planning on changing it at any time.
Thank you, Julian. Final question here for the policyholders listening right now. What is the very first step they should take today? Give you an example, a phone call, a document, or a specific question to ask.
The first step is I would recommend just calling. Just call us because we know how to help you as far as lowering your rate or getting you insurance. Let's say you never had insurance before, walking you through that process, and calling us is the easiest way. I mean, emailing as well too, because nobody leaves the office without their emails fully, like their inbox at zero, because we don't believe in having what's called like a scrolly bar, like scrolling through emails. That's how things get lost. And so email is fine if you're, a busy person and just like typing up emails, but getting on the phone is the best way, the best step to get started to really see if we can find you savings and give you that, white glove service that everybody deserves.
Thank you, Julian. So guys, make that phone call. You heard it. Before this weekend, do this just to make sure you get a better rate on your insurance policy. Julian, I appreciate you coming on and breaking down what is honestly the most under-discussed topic in Florida real estate right now. For everyone listening, let me be direct with you. If you're buying, selling, or holding property in Florida and you haven't had a real insurance conversation this year, you're leaving money on the table. And you might be one stone away from crisis. Julian just gave you the playbook: win mitigation credits, shopping your policy, bringing insurance into the deal on day one. Go find Julian at the Pinto Agency. Links in the show notes below. Subscribe to the channel, leave a review, and send this episode to every buyer and agent you know in Florida. This might be the most important episode we've done all year. This has been Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable. Until next time, go build your kingdom. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Lancelot.
Thank you for joining us on Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, where we've unveiled the mysteries of real estate together. Remember, in this kingdom of possibilities, every dream home is just a discussion away. I can help your real estate dreams come true. Just call me at 786-449-7518. Until our next roundtable, may your ventures be prosperous and your homes be filled with love and joy. Farewell, fellow knights of real estate.